Let's go!
Hello, Rams, and welcome to the Monday Night Sports Show. I'm Cory Odom.
And I'm Maddie Warren. Basketball was off for the week, but the sports action didn't stop. In fact, football even picked up. And despite spring coming soon, Punxsutawney Phil says, with snow on the ground, I don't know if we can call this spring quite yet. But the CSU football team thinks differently, considering spring football kicked off on Thursday. See, for those of you who missed football while it was gone all of about 2 weeks, Colorado State has an early spring season to fulfill your fix. The reason for the early start, it helps the team's strength cycle going into the summer and also gives players longer to rehab in case of injury during spring training. One of the main focuses of CSU should be and will be on improving their defensive game. CSU missed 118 tackles last season, which made it clear where the glaring holes that needed improving were. They'll also need to buckle down on tightening their execution on offense, especially since it seems like redshirt junior Colin Hill is at the top of the list to start as quarterback in the fall. But that position is still very much up for competition. All of this training is leading up to the annual Green and Gold Spring Game on March 14th.
Yeah, no, definitely with that defense, going to need to work on that a little bit. But spring football was not the only team to kick off their season this last weekend. Our own Maddie Warren and myself did something for the first time ever, covered a sport together. What was that sport? Men's lacrosse. Now, while we were freezing in Loveland, in the thermostat only saying it was 18 degrees, my toes disagreed. A couple of players managed to stay red hot, though, one of who was Frank Culhane, a senior out of my hometown, Minneapolis, Minnesota. He, as the goalkeeper, was a big part in shutting out the Bobcats in the first quarter, ending that quarter 5-0. But a game is way more than just one side of a ball. Bay Sherbert, a Colorado native and has a great name, helped score multiple times in the second quarter to bring the halftime score to 12-3. While the Montana State Bobcats did claw their way back into it, outscoring the Rams 9-5 in the second half, just wasn't quite good enough, falling 17-12. Considering that they are a D2 school versus the D1 Colorado State, all things considered, pretty good. If you want more men's lacrosse, you're going to have to go back to that frozen tundra, also known as Loveland, where this weekend they'll be facing off against Oregon State and Oregon. The Oregon State game will be on Friday, and they'll be playing the Ducks on Sunday. Friday's game is at 7 in the evening. Sundays is at 1 in the afternoon. But if you just cannot wait to get more of your favorite sports coverage, unfortunately, we'll just have to lacrosse that bridge when we get to it.
Cory, those dad jokes were about the only thing getting me through that game, and it was so cold. I was really worried about a couple of my toes, not going to lie.
You got all 8 of them still, though, don't you?
Yeah, all 8, so
okay,
exactly
good.
what I started off with. But it was a really exciting game, especially for our first game to cover, which was really cool, and it definitely made it worthwhile. And that exciting win for the lacrosse team also transferred into the Colorado State men's hockey team when they had their 4th Rocky Mountain Showdown game Saturday night that ended up in overtime. These games have really come down to the wire between CU and CSU, with the Buffaloes having won 3 of the last 4 games this season, and CSU bagging their first Rocky Mountain Showdown win this weekend. CU got on the board first thanks to 2 goals in the first period from Joe Kinsella, but the Rams answered back, and Tito Moreno and Ben Joseph tied up the game in the second, with Jonathan Johnson putting Colorado State ahead in the third. The game did go into overtime with Chris Doyle tying it up for the Buffaloes, but Joe Morgan showed up big time in the net for CSU and made several big saves to give his team a chance to close it out. Sam Cote scored the game-winning goal with just seconds left on the ice. With the last 5 seconds of overtime, CSU took the win on senior night 4-3.
Women's tennis was in Las Vegas this last weekend for a tournament, and as you know about Las Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays on your record forever. For a lot of people, it's kind of a downer, but for the tennis team, not too bad, considering that they went 2-1 over this weekend, winning 4-2 over both UC Riverside and New Mexico State before falling to the host city as well as Mountain West Championship runner-up University of Las Vegas. Now, I want to talk about that game because it was so close, going down to decision 4-3, but there were a couple stars in Sin City for the Rams. One of them was Emily Lusch Wagner and her doubles partner Riley Reeves. They managed to hand the Rebels their first ever doubles loss at home this season. Now, if you want more women's tennis, you're going to have to wait till this weekend, where they will be on the road again, this time in Nebraska versus University of Nebraska on Saturday. On Sunday, they'll be playing against North Dakota. Both games start at 10 in the morning. Maddie, serves to you.
Well, Ram fans, that's all we have for you right now, but don't go anywhere because later in the show, we have a story on a sport that's been long gone from CSU, and you don't want to miss it. But up next is Castro's Cut, so don't go anywhere.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
How's it going, Rams? Welcome to Castro's Cut. I am Litos Castro, here to give you the rundown of what's coming up in CSU Sports this week. We have a lot of matchups to go over, so without further ado, let's get rolling right into it. First, we're taking a look at your golf squads. Ladies first, women's golf. They have one matchup this week. They started today and they finish off tomorrow in Vegas against UNLV. Although they're not starting off so strong, they're going to see if they can pull it back tomorrow. Stay tuned with Jessica and Tara tomorrow. See how they finish off their first matchup since October. Then we take a look at your men's golf squad. We haven't seen them since November. They have two sets of squads to take on this week. First, they take on DU on Wednesday, and then they're going to take on Wyoming from Friday through Sunday. It's going to be a huge event for them. Let's see how they do for that one as well. That's going to be the Wyoming Desert Intercollegiate for the men's golf squad. Then we take a look at your women's swim and dive team. Cannonball right into this one. They have a huge week ahead of them. The Mountain West Championships in Cory's hometown, Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's going to be a big week for them. Stay tuned with CTV Sports. We're going to keep you posted. Make sure we have all the championship action covered for you. Next, we bounce over with the men's and women's basketball squads. First, we start off with men's basketball. Wednesday, they take on San Jose State in California. That game starts at 8 in the evening. Then they have Wyoming coming to Moby Arena. That game starts at high noon on Saturday. Then we take a look at your women's basketball. Same teams, different times, different places. On Wednesday, they take on San Jose State, except they're going to be coming here. That game starts at 7 in the evening at Moby. Then they head up to Wyoming for their game, their rematch against the Cowgirls. That game starts at 2 in the afternoon. Next, we take a swing with your softball squad. They have also a big week coming up in the Mary Nutter Tournament in California. Starting on Thursday, finishing up on Sunday, they take on 5 squads over 4 days. It's going to be a lot of big names you're seeing there: Utah, Oklahoma State, and UCLA. Again, stay posted with us. We're going to have all this action covered for you. You don't want to miss it. As we keep moving forward, next we're taking a look at your track and field squad. They have the Mountain West Indoor Championships. This is going to be a huge event for the track and field squad, as you can imagine. That's going to be going from Thursday through Saturday. And again, we will keep all the action posted for you, so you don't want to miss a single thing. We'll keep you updated as best we can for you. We're taking a look at your women's tennis squad next. They're going to Nebraska. They have 2 matchups there. First, they're going to be taking on Nebraska. That's going to be on Saturday. Then they finish up the weekend on Sunday versus North Dakota. We're going to see how the women's squad does after what we just heard from Cory. They need some more momentum to pick up on. And finally, we skate on over with your hockey squad. They have their last game of the season coming up on Thursday. That's going to be against UNLV. Game starts at 8 in the evening for you. They just had a huge win in the Rocky Mountain Showdown against CU, and they're looking to get another huge win against UNLV. And UNLV is coming here after the Rams handed them their first loss at home. So UNLV has some payback that they're wanting to get here. And with that, we're going to take a look at your top play of the week. So let's roll it. Here we have Joe Morgan, your goaltender for the CSU hockey squad, coming up with 2 huge saves in overtime. The Dirty Dan himself, and these 2 saves lead it open for the Rams to come back and score with 5.8 seconds left in that overtime matchup and take the win over the Buffaloes. Huge shout out to Morgan with 47 saves on the night. A huge effort from him, so well done. All right, Rams, that's all I've got for you. It's finally done, but we're moving on. Next, we've got the Triple J Pick'em Challenge coming up for you next. Don't go anywhere.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream, that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly, just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
What's up, Henry?
Hey, Julia. What's up?
What are you drinking your coffee out of this morning?
I don't even know.
Yeah, no, you should fix that.
It's uninspired.
You gotta get in this 905 club, let me tell you.
So if I donate $90.50, I can be part of this club?
It's got mugs, it's got shirts, and it's all dedicated to KCSU.
Well, I guess I'm going to donate to Club 905 because I support local college radio. What about you?
Hello, Ram fans, and welcome back to the Triple J Pick'em Challenge. We are back and ready to make this week's picks.
And I am filling in for Jason Ortiz, who had a perfect week last week, but let's hear from him.
Look at that. I'm not in last place anymore. 3 for 3. Jess went 0 for 3. That's none of my business, though. You know. And for all of Jess's fans out there, yeah. Sorry about that, too. But, well, you know, all I have to say is, go Duke.
Man, I can't believe Jason made that video. He's the biggest joker.
Yeah, I guess we weren't really expecting that, but one thing that I found funny about that is he led it within, I'm not in last place anymore, which he has been in for a very long time. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, and I haven't been there for a long time. This is really sad for me. I couldn't have expected, I really thought that the only risky pick I was taking last week was CSU to win that game, but looks like I just made the worst picks ever, and I'd like to apologize for all of my loyal followers who voted for me thinking that I was going to win. Coming out 0-3, I got to do better this week, so let's get into it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think that's enough about last week, but besides, the past is in the past. Let's start with number 13, LSU, versus number 5, Tennessee.
Okay, this is obviously a big top 25 game. Former number 1 Tennessee losing to Kentucky last week, kind of big. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they lose again to LSU for 2 reasons. LSU performs better. They perform better against better teams. They perform better in the conference, and I think they'll edge them out offensively. Tennessee is 1-2 against top 25 teams and losing by an average of 12 points. LSU is 3-2, but they average 77 points per game compared to Tennessee giving up 82 points per game against teams in the top 25. I mean, 3-2, they have more experience against top 25 teams. They beat Kentucky, who beat Tennessee.
By 2, only by 2.
Yeah.
By
hey,
a win's a win, if you ask me.
I was going to say, it wasn't a blowout.
You're right.
Very close.
But Tennessee did get blown out. They did.
Okay, let's start going into my part right now.
Okay.
LSU, right now though, they technically do have worse defense. They have been letting up 73 points per game, and elaborate on that. LSU hasn't held a team below 70 points since January, and that has been 5 games. And let's also not forget that LSU started this whole mess about beating teams that are on hot win streaks. Kentucky got mad over it, and now they end up beating Tennessee, of course, but now Tennessee is mad that their streak just got beat, especially it's about to be at 20 games. So them seeing LSU, I don't see how they're going to go in there and lose this game. Also, though, that was their first loss since November, and that's 3 months, of course. And also, let's talk about that ranked game. With LSU, you said they play worse against ranked teams. Of course, I can give you a little bit of that, but not all of it. Because let's not forget, they also beat Gonzaga, who's ranked number 2 right now.
Big win. That is true. I mean, but Kentucky's ranked number 5 both times. Well, was ranked number 5 when LSU beat them.
I don't know.
Once you start getting into the top 10 of
5
of NCAA men's basketball, it's been a revolving door all season. All these teams, they can beat each other on any day, any time in the top 25.
Well, regardless if LSU is going to be able to beat Kentucky today, that would still be a major upset with Tennessee being 5 and LSU being 13. They're both tied for first in the SEC. And before Tennessee goes to play LSU, they're going to be playing Vanderbilt, who is 0-12 in the SEC, a very bad team. So I think that'll be a huge confidence boost for them going in to play this LSU team. Yeah. I think that LSU is definitely going to have to look out for Admiral Schofield. He's in the running for being a National Player of the Year, and he's surrounded by Jordan Bone and Grant Williams, who are just dominating this this season. And a lot of teams are just really struggling to stop them on offense. So I'm interested to see how LSU is going to do that.
Well, I think LSU has been excelling the most when they're playing other SEC teams. I mean, they're first in the conference in scoring. They're scoring 85.3 points a game, first in total rebounds per game, and first in offensive rebounds, where Tennessee's 13th. So I think LSU just has the competitive edge for me, a bit of a competitive edge, a little bit of an offensive edge for me. It's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a great game, but I've got to put LSU over Tennessee.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is going to be a little bit more competitive now that they've lost their most recent game. That was a really big matchup, and I think that they're going to be more determined going on from here on out.
Real quick, right before I say that, Tennessee actually is leading them in points per game right now. After all the stats just came out, they're leading in 2 more. But we're going to move on from that. That was a little low ball, sorry. But moving on, we have number 10 Michigan State heading to Ann Arbor to take on the in-state rival number 7 Michigan.
All right, I'm picking Michigan State here over Michigan. Michigan is on a 3-game win streak over Michigan State, so I think that this streak has to end, and it has to end now. Tom Izzo is one of the best coaches in this entire country, and he is surrounded by some amazing weapons. It's very unfortunate to hear that Nick Ward is out. He really dominates in the paint, averaging 15 points per game, shooting 60%. He just recently got injured in their win over Ohio State, so that's definitely something that is a little bit worrisome for me. But Cassius Winston, only a sophomore, he could be one of the Big Ten Player of the Year. It's definitely looking like he could do that this year. He's averaging 19 points per game, 7 assists. So he's got a really high basketball IQ, loves to pass the ball around and involve his teammates, and that's something that Izzo really loves to see. And he's also surrounded by Matt McQuaid, who is averaging 42% behind the 3, as well as Winston. So they're really just powerful all around the court, and I like to see them shoot behind the 3 a lot in this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, Michigan State is 2nd in the nation in total assists throughout the season, which I think is great. It shows how good of a coach that Tom Izzo is. Sharing the ball is very important, especially when you're going against a big in-state rival. You can't kind of get into this mindset that one guy has to win the game. Yeah. They've got to share it, especially with Nick Ward out. Yeah. The workload is going to be distributed a lot more amongst the team.
Yeah.
And I think with the way they've been assisting each other throughout the season, I think that will be even more evident in this game.
Yeah, especially with the big rivalry. I think that there's going to be a lot of sound in that gym, so it's going to be crucial that the team that wins this game is going to be able to work together.
All right, now I chose Michigan in this one. This game, I know, we all know it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be fun to watch either way.
Yeah.
But Michigan State, they have lost 2 out of their last 4 games, and the biggest part about that is that those are against unranked teams. And like 1 loss to an unranked team, okay, that's a fluke. But 2, I don't know. That could have been a spiral if they didn't win the next game after that. But then also, Michigan, they also have a phenomenal defense. They have they had fluke, of course, like I'm going to use that word again. They had a fluke to Penn State with 75 points. We all know that. But then before and after then, it's been over a month since someone has scored more than 65 points against them. Over an entire month. And I think that since the, Michigan State's offense has revolved around Winston, a lot of the plays are running through him. Since their defense is so good, they're able to bring it back in. So I think Michigan's going to win this one.
I don't know. I think I really need this one, so that's why I picked Michigan State. I think this is going to be a good setup.
All right. Well, finally, we have number 8, North Carolina, heading down to Tobacco Road to take on number 1, Duke. What are you thinking about this one, Jared?
Well, I chose Duke, of course. Like, I'm not going to go against Duke. But, of course, as much as we all want to see Duke fall, just to see Jason fall and, like, guys take off that beanie. But Duke has shown they're the most complete team. They are number 1 for a reason. They have a consistency. They've shown that they're a top team in the college football, right? That's college basketball. And their top players are going to go 1, 2, 3 in the draft. I don't see them possibly losing this game, even a little.
Yeah, last time I picked Duke, I talked about their 2 most popular players, and Jason was like, don't forget about Cam Reddish, and I think that he's going to be huge in this game as well, shooting from almost 79%. And although UNC does lead this rivalry, I think this Duke team is different than a lot of Duke teams we've seen in the past. They are just so dominant. I just had to pick Duke at this one. There was no other going for me.
Oh, yeah, Duke, it's pretty easy. They have probably the best big 3 NCAA men's basketball has ever seen, arguably.
Truly generational.
Very arguably. I mean, all they have to worry about is Cameron Johnson on UNC. He's averaging 16.3 points per game.
Yeah.
Even if you limit his output just a little bit, the big 3 on Duke are just going to mute that so easily.
Yeah, having to just stop one of them is hard enough.
You cannot bet against that at this point. I think we've all learned that.
Yeah, see, I like agreeing with you guys. Now, if we're wrong, which I really doubt we'll be wrong here, we'll all be wrong, and I won't be going 0 for 3.
If anything, I'll be right. So.
Well, Ram fans, that's all we have for the Triple J Pick'em Challenge this week. But head to our Twitter page now to vote on which game you are most excited for. And don't go anywhere, Rams, because next, Maddie and Cory have updates from golf and an interview on the old Pistol team at CSU. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. The women's golf team teed off their spring schedule today at Rebel Beach in Las Vegas. In a field of 16 competitors filled with familiar Mountain West opponents and rivals like Colorado and tournament local UNLV, they'll be looking for a better stroke of luck than their visit to Rebel Beach last year. The Rams finished off their last visit to Vegas a year ago, second to last. Coach Laura Sillick is optimistic for the team coming fresh out of nearly 4 months of off-season training. Not looking too different for them right now, though. They're currently at 44 over par, sitting 15th out of 16 teams. So I don't know how much they can turn that around in the next day, but we'll see how it goes. But for more updates on how tomorrow does go, tune in to tomorrow's Sportscast to hear Jessica Mendoza and Tara Barrio bringing you the results.
Years and years ago, there was a pistol team here at CSU. The club's been gone for nearly 64 years, but Bill Rutherford and the club are still being remembered today.
CSU Hall of Fame, but there's only one that Heather Kent cares about. Her grandfather, Bill Rutherford.
My parents last fall were like, hey, do you want to see your grandpa's letter jacket? And I was like, what is this? I don't even know what you're talking about. And I was like, yeah, of course I want to see it. So I went to their house and they're like, here it is. And I'm like, it's not just a letter jacket, it has pistol written on it. So this is unusual.
and her friend said if she wanted to know more about her grandfather, he knew where to find it.
So he ended up putting me in touch with John Hearn, the athletic historian here.
So the pistol team would be going up against other schools within the district, the region, whatever it was. So whoever could score the highest on their pistol and rifle shooting would win by the point totals.
Like a lot of GIs at the time, had sharpshooter skills, and they were still looking to be able to use them somehow, and CSU had this pistol and rifle team, and he got involved and continued to shoot for them, and over the years did well enough obviously to gain a letter jacket.
It's no different than football. It's no different than basketball. Not everybody who's on the team gets a letter. So obviously you would have to be one of the better shooters to be able to letter in that sport, and probably somebody who was winning competitions or getting the higher scores when they were shooting. So
Heather Kent and her family were looking towards the future.
We decided that we would like to display it and also then to donate it back to CSU so that people other than just our family can appreciate it and so that it can be preserved for the future.
it's all the people who have played sports at CSU from the very beginning, and their memory is being brought out.
There's really some hidden gems in that Hall of Fame. I never knew we had a pistol team at one point, so that's a really cool story you ended up finding.
Yeah, it is a cool story. Unfortunately, Bill Rutherford did pass away in 2015, and on behalf of everyone here at CTV, I just want to give my condolences.
Absolutely, Cory. Well, Ram fans, moving on, we cannot go without this week's edition of Flip or Flop. Today we have this clip of Dennis Smith from the NBA All-Star Dunk Contest.
Well, you know, he went for it. You gotta give him that much. That is insane. He went up there like he had it, and I think that's the most important part of that entire clip.
Yeah, well, it's hard because you start off confident, and then you miss that, and it kind of it's hard to come back from that.
Well, let's see if he has any redemption in him. Let's go. Redemption shot.
Maybe. No, that one missed too. Okay, so maybe the second time isn't really a charm, but we'll see if the third one has something promising.
I can't even tell if that was better or worse either.
Nope, missed again.
Look at that saunter. There it is. That saunter. So is this like flop, flop, flop? Is
yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, fourth time's a charm. Maybe the fourth time's a charm. We'll give him another shot.
It might not be Irish, so it doesn't count, right?
You're right there. That's a good throw. That's a good throw.
Oh, no, okay, he faked him out. That one doesn't count, though. That one doesn't count as a fourth try, so we're going to see him go again. Maybe he's got it on this one.
Yeah, you know what? I believe in him, personally. And if you don't believe in him, Maddie, that makes you the bad guy.
Okay, there we go.
I finally got one.
Awesome.
It happened.
Finally got it. Well, and despite that show out, he did end up going to the championship round, lost to the rookie Diallo, but I mean when you dunk over Shaq, elbow in the net, Superman on the chest, it's really hard to beat that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Ram fans, that's all we have for you this week. But to keep up on sports news throughout the week, head to collegian.com or follow us on Twitter at sports_CTV. I'm Cory Odom.
And I'm Maddie Warren. Be sure to tune back in tomorrow for more news from the people you know and to see Jessica Mendoza and Tara Barrio bringing you updates from softball, women's golf, and a special story on the underwater hockey team. Until next week, have a great night, Rams.